Alright guys, check this out. I forgot my camera yesterday, so I've got a little bit of work done that you guys ain't gonna get to see. Not much though. I spent more time thinking about what I wanted to do than actually doing anything. So here's what we did yesterday. We've got the body on the car. Um, got the engine set up in here. Cut out the firewall just to fit around the engine. You know, obviously we gotta go back and fill the firewall in where it needs to be. But I was trying to keep as much of the stock firewall as I could. I didn't want to have to rebuild the whole firewall in this thing. It's kind of pointless. So um, there's where we are right now. We've got the LS sitting in there. This is a 5.3. This is not what's going in this. We're putting a 6.0 with twin turbos and stuff on it. So this is just a mock-up engine. This is just temporary, but it's the same. So the grill on the front of this also is not for this car. This is for a rat truck, or a not rat truck, a rat rod Model A coupe, or I'm sorry, sedan that I'm building. I built that, last year, and I've got that car about halfway done and haven't finished it. I got onto other stuff and it's been sitting, but it actually has a Detroit diesel in it. 453 Detroit diesel. We're going to do like twin blowers on this thing. It ought to be super wild. I'm sure. Stick around. We're going to get back on that thing before too awful long, but that is a cool car. If I get up in the other shop, I'll get you some video and some pictures of that car because it's going to be super trick. And of course, if you know anything about Detroit diesels, they just scream and they're obnoxious, but that's kind of what's cool about it. Anyway, so here's where we're at. This is what I'm getting into right now. So our front frame rail sections, I got to drill a hole up here. We got to put a hole in here because we're gonna run a piece of pipe across the front of this thing. And you got to get something to keep these things stable. So we have to tie these together. So I'm probably going to put a couple holes down through here, just to put pieces of tubing across it to make this thing nice and rigid. We don't want it flexing and stuff. I didn't have my brother put the holes in this because I wasn't sure where I wanted them or exactly how I wanted to do this. So I'm going to drill these myself. And then back here, one of our links for our front straight axle is going to go through this hole. So we're going to put a hole right here, probably like a 1-inch hole or something like that. And then we're going to slug that and put 3/4 slug in it, so we can get a 3/4 bolt to go through it. So on this, when you want to drill these things, there's 4 of these sitting here. To try to get these all drilled the same, individual, it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of measurements you got to do, and it's not easy. So how I do it, I just weld them all together. Right there you see a weld there. Come down here, I got another weld here, weld there, all the way around. I've just welded in little spots all the way around this thing. I got them nice and squared up. I took blocks of steel and I squared everything up all the way around this table and made sure they were even. And, there's even, they're cut with a plasma cutter, so they're not 100% perfect. It's not laser or water jet. So, as close as it can possibly be, I got them. So now, when I go over and I decide where I want my holes, I drill my holes through all 4 pieces, one shot. Now every one of those things is exactly the same. You probably don't want to hand drill them because you're going to get off before you get to the last piece. You won't be exactly the same, but these will all go in a drill press or a milling machine or whatever. Or I have a mag drill, and I'll set my mag drill up on top of this and mag drill down through these. That really makes it nice too. Then I don't have to try to get it in the mill. But same thing up here. And then I'll probably end up doing a hole back in here. Not too many. These are all getting covered up. So I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it. I thought about just strapping the top of these things and tying them together that way, but I don't know. I haven't decided. So I'm not going to put too many holes in it right now. If I want to go back later and put more in, I will. But as of right now, that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of get this thing, where I can start mocking this front end up. And I wish I'd had the camera yesterday. I kind of had these all sitting in place yesterday. It looks really cool. Come out really nice. So I don't know, I got a lot of stuff to fit in the front, in where the engine's at, because with twin turbos on this thing, once again, just like the back of this car, there's not much room in these cars. They're small. So obviously the turbos aren't going inside the car, but even the engine compartment, we don't want our turbos sticking out farther than the body, and there's no room between the radiator and engine to put turbos. And I feel like if I left enough room to put turbos between the radiator and engine, like the radiator would look silly because it would be stuck out so much farther than the engine. So I'm not going to do that. So probably going to end up hanging turbos somewhere up here. I think we're going to run a header. I'm probably going to have to make my own. The turbo headers come up here, and then you'd have to put your turbo up front, or you'd have to pipe it to it, and I don't know if I want to do that. I kind of want my turbos right here. So I think I'm going to make my own header that rolls out, and these all tie together and comes directly into that turbo right here. And then we'll probably end up, I don't know if we're going to be able to put a intercooler on this or not. I'm going to try, but my turbos come tomorrow, so I can mock some of that stuff up a little bit after we get the turbos in place. Until the turbos are here, everything is just, kind of take it as it comes. But I don't know. I would want to run intercoolers, but we're not going to be running the crap out of this thing. I want it to make some horsepower when we hit the throttle, but we're never going to be really running it, so not having intercoolers isn't going to be a huge deal for us. We'll just put a mild tune in it, make sure we pull enough timing and stuff out of it. It's the biggest thing. We don't want to melt a piston, but in this car, it's going to make way more power than I need in this car, so we're not drag racing it. We just want to pull out of a show and, just annihilate the tires for, 100 feet or something. Not long enough to ever hurt this thing, even without intercoolers or anything. And then I thought maybe we'll do like methanol injection. So as we build boost, it'll turn some methanol on. That'll cool down the intake temperatures and stuff. So I don't know. We'll worry about that later. So nothing I absolutely have to have. And I got a power steering pump on this thing. Like I said, this engine is out of my 34 Ford pickup that I'm building. It is more of a street rod car, and it had power steering and everything. So power steering pump's all gone. I think the alternator is coming off of this. Like I said, we're not using this engine, but the alternator is going to be probably a low mount alternator. I'm trying to get all the junk off the top of this thing. I don't know. Kind of just trying to make it look fairly clean, but trying to get a retro look out of this modern engine is not going to be easy. But like I said before, I wanted the horsepower. I would have loved to have just put a flathead or something in it, but it's just too hard to get the horsepower out of a flathead that I'm looking for. So anyway, flathead would have been cooler, to look at, but it's not going to come out and do 50-mile-an-hour burnouts. So anyway, here's what we got inside. We just done some, a little bit of structure work inside, and there's where the transmission sits, and that is where it's going to sit. It has to sit that high because, the oil pan, if you look, let me go around here. The oil pan is sitting on the ground right now. So if we drop this car on the ground, the oil pan is sitting on the ground. But here's what we got. This is a truck pan. We are actually going to put like a Camaro Firebird pan on this thing, and it will shorten this pan up about 2 inches. So that pan will have 2 inches of ground clearance when this car is sitting on the ground if we mock it up just the way it is right now. So that's my figures. I don't want the pan touching the ground when we drop it. So we'll have 2 inches of ground clearance with the frame laying on the ground. So we'll be great there. But by getting that ground clearance, that puts our transmission up pretty high, in here. But we don't have a lot of choice. We don't. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. If I want the car on the ground, then this is the stuff you got to deal with. The next thing we run into is we don't have a lot of foot room up here because the bell housing and transmission's so wide. So, it's going to be very tight up here. So what happens is we have to slide my seating position way back here so I can get my feet into about here. So my pedals are probably going to be about right here because my feet need to be here, which means your steering wheel is going to be way back here, which is not ideal because when you're getting out of the car, your steering wheel's in the way. So what we'll do for that is we will do a quick release on the steering wheel like the race cars do. So at least you can get in there and pull the quick release, get your steering wheel out of the way, and try to climb off the ground and get out of this thing. But that's always fun when you're my age. But my knees don't like to pick me back up. So it's gonna be fun getting out of here. But you know, anything that's cool usually isn't comfortable. So it is what it is. I'd rather be cool when I'll crawl up off the ground to get out of the thing. But there we go. That's where we're at. Sorry I missed video yesterday on putting the body on and the engine and stuff in, but you know, I've had this body off probably 4 or 5 times now, and so that's where we're at. All right, I'm gonna get back on this thing. So basically, this is my cantilever. Okay, no comments on what it looks like, I know. As I drew it up and cut it out, I'm like, oh, that looks odd. Anyway, no comments. So basically, this is going to go in between these frame rails, and it's going to bolt in, and that's going to go on that front shock. So there's your cantilever. That cantilever is going to rotate like this, and it's going to shove that front shock down, which is going to shove your axle down, lift your car up, obviously. All right. So, but what are we going to use to shove on this? That's what's going to be, this is kind of what the cool part is. So, you know, I stared at this thing for hours trying to decide how I wanted to do this without the airbags. And what I came up with is we're going to do hydraulic on the front. You know, I went on to Hoppo's site, and I've got a couple Hoppo cylinders coming, and got the measurements off of Hoppo's. And then Hoppo's cylinders, hydraulic cylinders, will go right between these frame rails. I mean, perfect. Like, with plenty of room around them. It's awesome, because there's 3 inches between this. And I think those Hoppo cylinders are, I believe, 1.5 or 1.75 OD. So they're going to fit right down in between here. So we're going to take our Hoppo cylinder and put right in here, and we'll basically run another slug through here and tie that Hoppo cylinder right into here. The Hoppo cylinder will come up and push on this, and I got a 6-inch stroke, you know, because we ain't got to push much here to move a bunch out here. So a 6-inch stroke on that cylinder will probably move us 12 inches out here, or yeah, probably 12 inches or so. I haven't done the measurements or the math on it, but it's going to be close to that. So we'll have plenty of lift even with just a 6-inch stroke cylinder. And man, those things were cheap. Like, I got 2 of them chromed, shipped to my door. I'm in Ohio, they're in California, and to my door for like $200. You know, it's like, you can't beat it. So I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was close to that. It was cheap. So I was like, well, heck, I'll order those, and they're already chromed and stuff. So when you look down in there, you're going to see a nice chrome cylinder sitting down here. But should be a really cool setup, you know, and that thing it'll just work like that, you know, to shove that shock up and down. And then we can also, you know, these are dual adjustable, so compression and rebound adjustment on these, which is really nice. And then we can change the spring rates. If the spring rates are too heavy, too soft, we'll just pop another spring on it. That's no big deal, but, you know, I like it. I think it's going to be really cool. So, downfall is, now I've got air ride set up on my car, and I'm going to have hydraulics. It is what it is. But, you know, what I do for my air ride is I don't run 12-volt pumps. I run, you know, we run an AC compressor and convert it to an air compressor. So we'll go through, tear it apart, convert it over. We'll do a video on it. When we do it, we'll do a video on it so everybody can see. It's really easy. There's nothing to it. I've done it on all my last cars. It works amazing. You know, it keeps pressuring your tanks at all times. You never hear the thing run. You don't have the 12-volt compressor just, you know, everybody hears it as soon as you turn the ignition on. You hear them stupid 12-volt compressors run. I have 12-volt compressors in my Lincoln. I have them in my 66 Chevy, and I hate them. So those are going to get converted over to AC compressors also. But anyway, we'll do a video on that, how to convert them. Everybody should go that route. You know, if you're running air ride and you have room for an AC compressor, that's the way to go. So, but that's what we're going to do. And then same thing, I think, on the on the hydraulic, so we don't have, like, I can do an electric hydraulic, or I could even do like an air over hydraulic setup. I haven't decided exactly which way I want to go. You can get some nice air over hydraulic pumps pretty cheap, you know, $100. So I may go that route, or what I may do too, because this car is not going to have power steering on it. So I thought about just hooking up a power steering pump, which I have on this engine. I'll show you. I have a power steering pump on this engine because this engine is actually out of that 34 Ford pickup over there. So, and it's going to have all power steering. So I have the power steering pump here. You know, it's not that big. It's nice and small. And then if I don't like it up here in the way, just like the alternator, I think they're all going to be, we're all going to put those down in the bottom. We're going to do lower mounts. So, but anyway, you know, I thought about doing a power steering pump and then run my hydraulics off of the power steering pump itself. You know, they put plenty of pressure out. It's nice and small. We do a separate reservoir for it, and it should work great. You know, and it'll be a simple setup, and then we'll just do a couple of electric valves in there. So all we'll have on the dash is I'll have one switch for the air ride up and down. I'll have another switch for the hydraulic up and down. Simple, you know, raise the front, raise the rear, raise them both at the same time, doesn't matter. But that's what we're looking at. You know, I think that's the way we're going to go. I don't know, should work out pretty well, I think. You know, it's going to be pretty slick, and you know, it took me a while to think about it and get it right, but this grill isn't for this car. This is for a sedan I was building, and I still need to build. You'll see it. You'll see it. I need to finish it. So, but yeah, we got that. Oh, I'll show you. Let me show you the turbos. So basically, what we're going to do on this thing is we are going to let me get this light turned off. Light shining in my eyes. So basically, we're going to run a twin turbo setup, and we're going to run a turbo off each side of this thing. It's I don't know. It's going to be wild. I'm going to build my own headers for it because I have a set of turbo headers, but they come up front. I don't want my turbos up here, and I don't want to have to run a big piece of pipe back here to put my turbo back here. I want my turbos off to the side. So we're going to get header flanges, and we're going to build the shortest, stubbiest header you ever seen in your life. It's literally, this turbo is going to sit pretty much right here. You know, I would say right there or right here. I'm not sure which, but so we're just going to build a header right off to here, right off there, right off there. And we're going to dump the exhaust right here. We're coming right out the side of the car, and it's going to dump right here. Like, it's going to be nasty and obnoxious, and I don't care. So we're going to piss a lot of people off, but that's all right. That's what we do. So that's going there. And then my game plan, let me show you. So I grabbed up one of these cheap throttle bodies, and I tell you, man, for being cheap, I paid $39 for this thing. It's kind of so cheap it's ridiculous. We all know it's China. It's all right, you know. So like I said, budget build. But anyway, my game plan with this is one of two things. Either I've been talking to Speedmaster on doing an 8-stack with this thing. But I want to do, if I'm doing it, I'm trying to make this engine look a little more old school, so I was thinking 8-stack. But if I do 8-stack, I'm running twin turbos. So if we do 8-stack, we're going to run, you know, one turbo is going to feed 4 stacks off each side of the engine. Or maybe we'll cross the tubes over to the other side of the engine. Either way, one turbo is feeding 4 stacks. So we'll make all stainless tubing to feed all 4 stacks on each side with, you know, each turbo. And so I've been thinking about doing that. But I don't know. I kind of want to make a custom intake setup. And if I make my own intake, then if I buy that 8-stack injection, then I'm going to have all this money and just be using the throttle bodies basically. So I picked up one of these throttle bodies for 39 bucks just to see what it was about and if it's sealed off. It holds a vacuum. You know, I mean, there's no leak on it. You know, we vacuum tested this thing down. It's fine. I mean, and the quality on it, there's no light. That thing comes down and it fits. It fits perfect. I mean, it's pretty good. I'm impressed. You know, for $39 is a little crazy, but no, it's really pretty precision, nice and smooth. You know, it looks to have bearings in there. I haven't taken it apart, but that looks like a bearing to me. That's not a bushing. To me, that looks like a sealed bearing or something. And I'm going to pull it apart and see what all's in it to make sure. You know, I've had some of these, you know, years ago where I've had them wear out and they leak, you know, and it wears the aluminum bore actually. And I've gone in and machined the shaft and put a small O-ring on the shaft and put it back together to seal it up. It's fine. So if these need that, I'll do it. You know, I don't want to if I don't have to, but I will. But either way, these are 70 millimeters. So if I go this route, what I thought about doing is taking a 70 millimeter here and a 70 millimeter here on each side, and then have the turbo feed 2 instead of 4 on each side with an 8 stack, and you know, and then build my own intake runners and what have you. But I would, to get the runners a little longer, I would come from the other side over here, and it's going to look cool. Come from the other side, so this one would feed 2 ports on the other side. This one will feed 2 ports here. So that's kind of the game plan, is to run maybe four of those total, 2 on each side. We're going to see what happens. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided, but you know, I want to do a little more testing on these two. But I don't know. We're gonna work on it and see what happens. So it's either going to be 8 stack or it's going to be these, and then we'll probably do like a Holley, I don't know, Holley Terminator or something like that, because we're going to run a 4L60 transmission in it. We want overdrive in this thing. We want it to be able to cruise down the highway. Trying to make it as drivable as possible. You know, with the heavy chop, it's going to be tough to see, but that's where we're at. That's all the cool stuff we picked up in the last couple days, and kind of getting it all together. You know, it's coming together, but that's where we're at now. I'll give you an update as soon as I do something different.